The brain's secret role in fighting inflammation. How neuroimmune connections protect our health. The brain and immune system are often seen as separate defenders of our health, but recent discoveries reveal that these two powerful systems are tightly intertwined. New research shows that the brain doesn't just passively monitor our body's immune responses, it plays an active role in managing inflammation, using complex neural pathways and the vagus nerve to fine-tune immune reactions. Here's how the brain fights inflammation and why these discoveries are transforming our understanding of health and disease. The vagus nerve, a superhighway for inflammation control. For years, scientists have known that stimulating the vagus nerve, a major communication channel between the brain and body, can reduce inflammation by calming the production of inflammatory cytokines. But recent studies reveal the vagus nerve does much more than just control cytokines. It manages immune responses by influencing specialized immune cells, like neutrophils, and releasing pro-resolving mediators that help inflammation subside naturally. This expanded view of the vagus nerve makes it an exciting target for therapies, from managing autoimmune diseases to treating chronic inflammation. Brain circuits that actively dial down inflammation. Imagine your brain as a thermostat, constantly adjusting the body's immune response to keep inflammation in check. Researchers have identified a brainstem circuit in the caudal nucleus of the solitary tract, CNST, that receives real-time signals from inflamed tissues and tells the brain how to respond. When these brainstem neurons are disrupted, inflammation spirals out of control, showing just how central the brain is in regulating our immune system. By targeting these circuits, scientists hope to create therapies that can precisely dial down inflammation, a promising approach for managing inflammatory and autoimmune diseases. Tiny warriors in the thymus, tough cells and immune harmony. Deep within the thymus, a surprising player has emerged in immune health: tough cells. These tiny cells release IL-4 cytokine that shapes T-cell development, creating an environment where T-cells learn to tolerate the body's own cells rather than mistakenly attacking them. This delicate balance begins early in life and is maintained by signals that echo the brain's influence on immune cells. Tough cells demonstrate that even at the cellular level, local immune managers operate similarly to how the brain oversees larger immune responses, helping the body find harmony between defense and tolerance. The vagus nerve as a bodyguard for the airways. The vagus nerve also has a specialized branch that acts like a bodyguard for our airways. Certain neurons, called P2-RY1 neurons, detect irritants such as water and acid, and immediately trigger protective reflexes like swallowing or closing the vocal folds. These reflexes keep harmful substances out of the lungs and show just how deeply embedded the brain's influence is in our day-to-day health. This ancient survival mechanism at the cellular level might even inform future treatments for respiratory issues. The brain, our ultimate immune modulator. Perhaps the most groundbreaking discovery is the brain's role as a master immune modulator. The brain constantly monitors inflammation levels across the body and sends signals to ramp up or cool down immune activity. The brain constantly monitors inflammation levels across the body and sends signals to ramp up or cool down immune activity. This precise control opens exciting possibilities for treating cytokine storms, where inflammation goes into overdrive, autoimmune disorders, and chronic illnesses marked by persistent inflammation. A new era in health and healing. These findings upend the traditional view of the brain and immune system as separate. Instead, they reveal a powerful partnership where the brain doesn't just watch immune responses, it actively manages them. By understanding and harnessing these neuroimmune pathways, scientists are stepping into a new era of medicine, where targeting the brain could unlock safer and more effective ways to treat a wide range of diseases. Whether you're fascinated by the body's natural defenses or excited by the future of medicine, this research shines a light on an amazing frontier in health and healing. Osteopathy offers several techniques to gently stimulate and release tension around the vagus nerve, helping to improve its tone and function. Cranial osteopathy. Purpose: this technique focuses on releasing restrictions within the cranial bones and enhancing the rhythmic movement of cerebrospinal fluid. Since the vagus nerve originates in the brainstem, working on the cranial base can reduce tension around its origin. The practitioner uses light touch to work on areas around the occiput, base of the skull, and upper cervical spine, aiming to balance the cranial rhythms and release tension at the cranial base, where the vagus nerve exits the skull. Occipital release: by releasing tension in the occipital area, the base of the skull, this technique aims to alleviate compression on the vagus nerve as it exits through the jugular foramen near the occiput. The practitioner gently supports the occiput and applies slight traction or pressure to relieve tightness in the surrounding tissues, facilitating improved vagal function and blood flow to the brainstem area. Suboccipital inhibition. This approach targets the suboccipital muscles, which can become tight and compressed structures around the vagus nerve. This technique helps release tension and allows freer movement of the vagus nerve, supporting better neural and circulatory flow. Thoracic inlet release. This technique targets the upper thoracic and clavicular region, where the vagus nerve travels as it descends. Releasing this area can support better nerve function and circulation to the vagus nerve pathway. This release helps improve lymphatic and blood flow, creating a more supportive environment for the vagus nerve. Diaphragmatic release. Since the vagus nerve passes through the diaphragm, releasing tension in the diaphragm can support vagal tone and improve autonomic balance. This helps relax the diaphragm, which can stimulate the vagus nerve and improve parasympathetic, calming, responses. Myofascial release of the cervical fascia. The vagus nerve runs alongside major blood vessels in the neck, surrounded by layers of cervical fascia. Tight or restricted fascia can impact nerve function. This release reduces fascial tightness, providing the vagus nerve with a more supportive pathway down the neck. Gentle neck mobilizations. Mobilizing the cervical spine, particularly around C1, atlas, and C2, axis, where the vagus nerve exits the skull, can relieve nerve compression and enhance vagal tone. Somato-emotional release techniques. Emotional tension can manifest physically, often impacting the nervous system, including the vagus nerve. Techniques that address stored tension can benefit vagal function. A new era in health and healing. These findings upend the traditional view of the brain and immune system as separate. Instead, they reveal a powerful partnership where the brain doesn't just watch immune responses, it actively manages them.